Historic reforms will give some Louisiana inmates convicted of second-degree murder a shot at life outside of prison.
Lawmakers at the state capitol approved that plan earlier this year. It now gives hope to a lot of folks.
And I've been dreaming and hoping and praying that one day it'll happen for me.
Our Kevin Frey travels to Angola and introduces you to some inmates who now have a second chance.
There you go.
With a hammer and some elbow grease,
All this is mortars and tenons.
Theodric Givens can match wits with any carpenter. His latest project, a dining room table set for a couple who flooded last August.
They came, they wanted to buy, but they didn't really have the funds. So I turned around and told them, I said, well, look, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a dinette set.
But unlike most living in the Baton Rouge area, Givens never saw those floodwaters firsthand.
I've been confined 41 years, 7 months, and 1 day.
Convicted of second-degree murder in New Orleans in 1976, he's now in his 60s. He has so far spent 2/3 of his life at Angola prison.
I done lost all my hair. Oh, look at that. I don't have no hair on top of my head.
During those decades, Givens learned to trade, rebuilding his life one project at a time.
I look at where I come from, and I know I'm still not where I would like to be. But I'm satisfied at the progress. I'm happy with me.
Sentenced to life, he was destined to live the rest of his years behind bars. But as of just a few weeks ago, he now has a chance at freedom.
We have the district attorneys on board. We have the sheriffs on board.
Earlier this year, in a rare moment of bipartisanship, state lawmakers approved 10 bills overhauling Louisiana's criminal justice system. Part of that reform, a chance at parole for about 130 lifers convicted in the 1970s, including Givens. When they were first sentenced, they were promised a shot at parole, but a technicality in the law prevented them from acting on it. Now they'll get that chance.
This is not an automatic release. This has to go through a process, and the victims and the DAs, everybody will have their say-so.
Corrections Secretary Jimmy LeBlanc was one of those pushing for the reforms. He says he would not have supported parole for these inmates if he thought it would put public safety at risk.
You know, as much time as I spent up there with some of these guys, I know they're going to be fine. I know they're going to be okay. I'll lay my head next to most of those guys anytime and not be concerned.
The day they went in session till they come out of session.
Givens spent his spring eagerly following the action at the state capitol.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. If you say let's go today, I'm ready. I got a job and everything.
But a chance at life outside the fence remains a long-off dream for many inmates. While that reform may help a little more than 100 prisoners, there are still about 5,000 statewide with life sentences who still have zero chance at parole. One of them is Robert Lucas, who arrived in Angola in 1990. He also has a life sentence for second-degree murder.
The gun goes off and goes through the door and hits my daddy and kill him. He don't kill him right then and there, but he died. It was off.
Under the original bills filed at the state capitol, prisoners like Lucas could have received a shot at parole after reaching 50 years of age and serving 30 years behind bars. But lawmakers scrapped that part of the legislation after facing pushback from DAs and sheriffs who worried about the impact on victims and public safety.
I'm an old man. What can I do to anybody? I can't hurt nobody. I'm not going to commit no crime or do anything. I can't do nothing.
71 years old, Lucas cannot walk due to a stroke. He also suffers from glaucoma. He says it's a race against time.
I want to get out to be with my grandkids. I would like to get out before I go blind when I see them. Let me get his food.
For now, Lucas finds some hope in the life story of his caretaker, Aaron Brent.
You got everything that you need?
Brent is a nurse in one of the hospital wards at Angola.
I'm just coming to check on you and see how you doing.
And is also an inmate.
How you doing, Mr. Hickenbottom?
Sentenced to life for a murder in the 1970s, he is one of those who could qualify for parole under the new laws. 18-year-old you, before you arrived here, could you imagine yourself having this responsibility, taking care of 40-plus guys?
No, indeed. Ain't nowhere in the world. I was still young, wild, and selfish. Now, like I say, when you get older, you get wiser.
When he first got to Angola in 1976, he tried to be the big man on campus. He even managed to escape within his first 2 years there.
In this prison at that particular time, everybody strives for a reputation.
That all changed a little over a decade ago when his own son arrived, also sentenced to life. Wanting to set a good example, he took up the position in the hospital ward, cleaning and feeding his fellow inmates.
They my kids, and all of my kids. I love them to death.
If all goes as planned, he may soon get to say farewell to the men he spent the past decade treating, as well as his own son.
This prison done a lot for me, you know, and I'm sorry that I had to take this prison to be able to be the person that I am now.
The Department of Corrections says parole hearings for inmates like Givens and Brent could happen as early as November 1st. Meanwhile, work to overhaul the criminal justice system here in Louisiana is not done. The Corrections Secretary is already starting his push to make sentencing for various crimes easier to understand and implement. And he also wants to look at other ways for more lifers to get a shot at parole. I'm Kevin Frey. Back to you.